Commissioner Berney, your turn to say something. You just received your
Well,
award.
um, I had some prepared remarks, which I will absolutely disregard. Um, I do want to say this. Um, the most touching thing right now for me is the people that are in this room. Um, I didn't know what this was going to look like. I was told to invite some people, and I invited people that were about as close to my heart as any group could be. So I just want to say this. All my life, I've tried to live by the golden rule. That's it. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. My life is one of trying to live those words, always wearing a smile, no matter how intense or stressful things were, always hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst, because you never know, and trying to leave the world just a little bit better than I found it. That's not profound, but that's pretty much been my MO. Um, when I ran for office 5 years ago, I actually had no illusion of winning. Maddie and I were going to retire. We had our plans, um, but I won. uh, and the reason I ran was because before I died, I just wanted to try and use a campaign, not for the dirty, cutthroat, win at all costs that seems to be the mentality often of the political environment we now find ourselves in. But I ran as a test. I used to be an educator, and I wanted to use a campaign to educate people and talk about what I felt were critical issues nationally and how they played out locally, whether that be war, poverty, racism, environmental degradation. The list goes on. And the other part of that, given where I came from, was how do you increase local wages quantitatively? How do you pragmatically, not rhetorically, create equal opportunity and the need for climate action, etc.? Well, here's where I deviate from my remarks, but because of who's in the room. I want to, Bruce Weber, who was my appointment to the budget committee. You know, my eyes are terrible. I think you're out there, Bruce. Yeah, see, okay. Bruce and Michelle have been friends of Maddie's and mine for many years. It was an honor to appoint Bruce, an ex-Banner Bank executive, to the budget committee. And I hope you would all agree, and you, Steve, would agree, that Bruce has really been a dedicated student of the budget, understander of county operations, and he has helped me really educate people in our community about what this county does and what we don't do. And Bruce, thank you so much for being here. You're an amazing friend. You know, I saw that the memo was written to department heads from you, Steve, and I felt that who was missing were our friends in labor. And I see Jim and Pat representing AFSCME. And I have always felt that labor and management have the same goal. You know, we talk about a healthy county and a healthy community and things as mundane as health insurance for everybody and retirement for people. And I felt that it just behooved me to invite our AFSCME partners representing other unions, but you're the largest union. But again, you mentioned 7 degrees of separation. There's everyone on this dais and everyone in this room that are going to be friends for life. And Jim and Pat, thank you very much. Now, Steve misspoke. I didn't come in there and say, how do we do this and that for the county? This guy and his staff pulled me into a meeting before I became county commissioner and said, and Mr. Bozovich over there said, we need you to support ballot initiative for a new courthouse. We need a new public safety center. And so when the staff I'm not kidding you. I wanted to demonstrate to Jay that we could work together. I had no idea that he and I would be co-convening an initiative to try and make that happen. But Steve, if you recall, you said, how can we get your support for this? We want this to be a 5-0 unanimous county commissioner thing. And I said, and I never told you this, but I just put on my negotiating hat invisibly. And I said, well, do you remember this now? Well, we could bind a courthouse project as long as everyone made prevailing wages that worked on the project. And then we talked about employer full family health coverage, and we talked about retirement, and then we talked about sealing the envelope correctly, and renewable energy, and women and minority owned businesses being a part of it. We talked about all those things before I had one day as a county commissioner. And I said, if you guys could do that, I'm in. So from that, I just want to say I met these guys before, but I brought in some real working class champions. And Jeff McGillivray, where are you? Jeff's there. Who else is there with you? Kale's not here. Okay, and Russ. Jeff McGillivray is the head of the Lane, Coos, Curry, Douglas Building Trades. He's on the board of the Oregon Statewide Building and Construction Trades. He's on the Lane Workforce Partnership Board, and many things that I can't mention. He's a plumber. And Jeff has for decades, as has Kale, as has Russ, as has thousands of other women and men that you represent, been working consistent with the values that this body embraced as a community benefits agreement, have given their lives to it. So for you three, Jeff, Kale is the statewide organizer for IBEW? Kale got a job advancement as a result of his working on the community benefits agreement. And Russ is a political director with sheet metal for how many states, Russ? 7 states. Thank you very much for being here. These are the individuals, predominantly Kale and Jeff, sorry, Russ, but these are the individuals that worked for 2 years on the nuts and the bolts and the details of what became the Lane County Community Benefits Agreement. Them, not me. Them and Sean Waite. Sean Waite has been absolutely incredible and received support. And so for you to be here means so much to me. Now, you spent 2 years in Lane County. We worked it all out. Greg Rickoff, by the way. Greg, are you here now? Well, Greg said that this has liberated many of the people that work in Lane County because it has allowed them to do the work that they really believe in, from procurement to legal to project management. And Sean Waite on the staff has literally pieced together exactly what the vision has been in a way I never could have predicted. So, Sean, thank you so much. But now I'm going to tell you a little story about, and by the way, I have to say, Senator Beyer and I, Senator, I've invited you here because you're a friend, not because you're one of the most august and senior and most productive and impactful senators in the Oregon Senate. You're here because we're friends, and Lee, I can't thank you enough. People don't know it, but Lee literally helped another guy, Charles Dalton, and I during the Enron energy overcharging. Lee guided us through then Attorney General Hardy Myers changing what was originally going to be a small refund to every ratepayer in the state of Oregon from Oregon's settlement from that to instead devoting tens of millions of dollars specifically to low-income ratepayer programs. And that was all because of Lee Beyer, and Lee has helped me for 30 years. So thank you for being here, sir. But talking about the community benefits, I have to talk about, if I may, my brother, Senator James Manning, who, James, I don't know who holds you in higher regard, Pat or I, but I know one day we're going to arm wrestle over it, back when I'm whole again. Maddie and I have cherished the evenings we spent with you in Lawanda. We forged a bond. If I educated James a little about the details of a community benefits agreement and a PLA, James was surprised that the state didn't already require it. And he said, Joe, I'll sponsor it. You submit it. I'll get your name on the legislation. And he did. But while he was doing that, just before it came to a vote as to whether this would be state law or not, Senate Bill 420, I mean, Eugene anyway, Senate Bill 420, James experienced the tragedy of his life, which I could not comprehend because I can't comprehend losing Patty. And he said, Joe, I need some time, but I'm going to postpone a vote until I can get back to the Senate. He did. And he came back with the recent loss of his soulmate. And he moved that legislation from legislation based on what Lane County did to reality for every city, every county, every municipality, every school district in the state. And that's our Senator James Manning. Thank you for being here, sir. I just want to also say, if I may, that Maddie is my wife, and I owe her an apology. But she gave her last 4 years for me to join you. And honey, I'm coming home. Thank you all so much.